I think you will agree with me if I say that we can still count our blessings. It's not that we're gloating about the typhoon veering away a little, so it's not gonna hit Metro Manila directly. But still we are afraid, we are worried, and we are concerned about those who will be under the huge swath of this super typhoon. Today we are reminded about typhoons and everything else, sun and moon falling down from the firmament. Daniel talks about apocalyptic visions and times, and then refers to the coming of Michael, the great leader, the coming of the figure of the Son of Man, not from earth but from heaven. And our response is very hopeful. Despite everything, we declared, "You are my inheritance, O Lord." In the second reading from the letter to the Hebrews, it's been a few Sundays, we've been listening to the letter writer to the Hebrews. He talks again about finite offerings offered by the priests during the time, but he refers to the one perfect sacrifice that will be offered for all time, for eternity, and talks about the vision about the Son of Man being the high priest, being seated at the right hand of God. This, as you probably know by now, is a vision of total victory, not partial, total, complete, integral. In the third reading from Mark, we hear again frightening things, sun, moon, and stars being removed from the firmament, and then talks about the vision referred to by Daniel, the Son of Man, coming in the clouds. And then Mark gives a summative statement. Learn a lesson from the fig tree. Watch and learn. There's one important lesson that we need to learn from what we can see and what we don't see or unwilling to see. And the prophets are now telling us. So let's get down to the contemporary situation, the here and the now. Daniel talked about the then and there. And what was the then and there? The empire of Greece, wreaking havoc everywhere there were other people. Greece was the center of civilization. Greece thought that they were the masters of the universe. The Greek emperor or leader thought that he could throw or push everybody around, like Putin does, like Xi Jinping does, like Kim Jong-un does, like powerful people right now, despots and tyrants all over the world. It's the same story. This is the here and the now. But the then and there tell us what we need to see. And what we need to see is what we need to talk about today. So, contemporary situation. Number one, we are surrounded by frightening realities. Only those deep in denial will not agree with me. The typhoons are increasing. We have 4 typhoons in the course of a month and it's not over yet. And they are overlapping with one another. Hindi pa nakakalabas yung isa, nag-U-turn pa. At nagmi-meeting, may nakalimutan, nag-eyeball pa yung mga bagyo. At ayaw umalis, nag-iinikit sa ating kapaligiran. And we have Pepito right now threatening, well, they have wrought havoc in Catanduanes. It's now ready and poised to make another landfall somewhere in Aurora or Quezon. And thank God it won't hit directly Metro Manila. But that doesn't mean I'm happy about that. I'm just saying I'm grateful and I'm sad about those who will be victimized by this super typhoon. We are surrounded by frightening realities, and we do not need to remind ourselves of apocalyptic visions, super typhoons, wars, bully nations like Greek Empire then and there, threatening Taiwan, threatening us, controlling 6 countries in Southeast Asia, economically, culturally, you name it, they have it. Kulang na lang baril. But right now, gray warfare is what is going on. The Third World War is going on, and it has nothing to do with bombs. It has to do with your minds, the battle of minds, cultural. Kaya ang daming mga makapili na pabor sa China. I'm not against China. I have a lot of Chinese friends. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not in favor of the Chinese Communist Party, and those two are different things. I don't hate the Russians. I follow blogs of Russians who are now increasing in an island in Mindanao. There is a Russian community there I forget the name of the island, where there was a plane crash decades ago. And they are increasing. And they are here because they are not agreeing with their government. We have apocalyptic visions even here, even now. Threats from despots, threats from corrupt leaders, threats from false narratives and fake news. And TikTok is ruling the roost right now. It's not Facebook. Yung mga bata wala na sa Facebook, nasa TikTok. At nandun ang lahat ng tinatawag na big data that China is gathering from us. So they know who are the makapili, they know who are in favor of them, they know who are against them. The last time I was in China, I applied for their equivalent of Twitter, and in the whole length of time I was there, I was not granted entry into their equivalent of TikTok, of WhatsApp or Twitter. And then our guy told me, "Oh, Father, they've seen your Facebook. You won't get it." They know, and they are number 1 in the world in terms of big data gathering. Number 2, reality. We see the equivalent of fig trees. And what did the Lord talk about? Look at the fig tree. Kapag may sibol, kapag may suloy na hindi na ginagamit na salita, kasi wala na nagtatanim sa Metro Manila. Kapag sumisibol, sumusuloy ang puno ng igos, then you know that summer is near. And when summer is near, then you know that harvest time is near. But when you see the leaves falling, then you see that winter is near. The leaves are dying and falling. The autumn leaves that was famous 70 years ago. We see the equivalent of fig trees, rivers dying. I know what I'm talking about because when we came from the boonies of Cavite in the early 60s to Poblacion, Makati, the first thing that I marveled at was the Pasig River, just about 10 minutes walk from where we were in Poblacion. And what did I see? People fishing via ayungin and other fish that I didn't know. At saka mga tulya, ang dami. May naglalaba sa ilog Pasig. Now, do that now. Maligo ka doon kung di ka matetano. Rivers are dead. Rivers are dying. You go to Bohol and take the Lubok River cruise, and you will marvel at the clean water of the Lubok River. That was Pasig River not too long ago in my lifetime. But it is now dead. Mountains being flattened in Zambales, it became the material for the artificial islands of the Chinese in the West Philippine Sea. Mountains being flattened in Surigao del Norte, Surigao del Sur. Mountains being flattened and Homonhon Island being mined, and the owners of the mines are not Filipinos, but Chinese. We see the equivalent of fig trees. And what do we see? Another contemporary reality. Mothers and fathers, you warn your children. Huwag kang pupunta doon kung ayaw mong maging magkasakit. Huwag kang gagaya sa mga batang yan na laging laman ng mga gaming. Nakalimutan ko na kung ano, mga games, yung mga internet cafe na puro gaming lahat. I saw them in Allen, in Northern Samar, when I was helping the typhoon victims there. We were bringing goods, and I realized we were among the first, very early at dawn, but we never boarded the boat. And I said to the driver, maybe they know something we don't know, so please ask. Yung pala dapat naglalagay ka para makasakay ka sa ferry. At habang ako'y naghihintay, nandun sa internet cafe, they were all kids, 8 years old, 9 years old, in Allen, in Northern Samar. And they were all playing games. And I checked my Facebook, and they were all looking at my screen and laughing at me because I was not playing games. This is the reality. Today, what is the good news and the core lesson for you and me? I'd like to suggest, listen to the Gospel of Mark. And what did the Lord say? Learn a lesson from the fig tree. And I will illustrate it with a story. I think it was Elizabeth Kubler-Ross who told this story in one of her books before she died. She was talking about a hospital somewhere in New York. And in one ward made of 4 beds, there were 4 old men all waiting to die. One was, he had his bed near the window. The other 3 were near the wall. They didn't see anything. All 4 of them came to the hospital complaining, cursing God, cursing doctors. Sumisigaw sa lahat ng mga nurses. Galit na galit sapagkat it's not my turn to die yet. Kari-retire ko pa lang. Bakit ako may sakit na? At may cancer, and so on. They were complaining, and the man who was near the window found a fig tree and leaves sumusuloy, sumisibol, or leaves falling, as the case may be. And the man learned from the fig tree. He watched and learned from it. And what did he begin talking about one fine morning? He described children playing, children giggling, children running around, together with parents who were bringing them to the park. He was talking about beautiful visions about parents loving one another, united families. And then the ice cream vendor ringing his bell, and all the children heartily laughing at the potential enjoyment that was open only to kids to have ice cream on a cone. And then the other 3 began to quit cursing and hating God. They learned a lesson from the fig tree, even if indirectly. They learned a lesson from the vision of a prophet who talked about, "You are my inheritance, O Lord." The vision of a prophet that talked about, not about the sun and the moon falling down from the firmament, but about the Son of Man coming down in the clouds. It was a vision of hope. And so after a few days, all 4 were happy. And then all of them said at one point, "I'm ready now. We are ready now to face the Son of Man." They learned a lesson from the fig tree. And one fine morning, the man near the window died. And all 3 took turns to be beside the window. And what did they see? Nothing but a blank wall. Nothing but a blank wall. But they heard a prophet talking about something beautiful for God, something marvelous about God, a vision of salvation, a vision of what comes next, a vision that goes beyond the pain and the problems that we all have right now. And mind you, I have a lot of them. I have been an educator for 48 years, and I see pain and potential trouble upcoming up ahead. I see problems I never dreamt, having been born 10 years after the war. I never imagined when we were growing up that there will be new despots and new Hitlers and new Japans and new empires and new tyrants who will claim territory that is not their own. I never knew that false narratives and fake news will be the run of the day. I never imagined, I never dreamed about seeing Pasig River so dirty and dead, like I see now, because I almost drowned in the Pasig River, by the way, because I'm from the boonies of Cavite. I never swam. And then my playmates were swimming all over the place. I jumped into it, and I didn't know how to swim. So I was reported back home, and I got the beating of my life that I never forgot. So, learn a lesson from the fig tree. Watch and learn. Daniel was written when Greeks ruled the world. It was a time of intense suffering, but he had an alternative vision, a time of vindication and victory. When Jesus, that was reported by Mark, talked about the days of tribulation, it was a time of the Roman Empire when the Jews were miserable. The Romans were taking advantage of them. They took control of the known world at the time. But then Jesus said, learn a lesson from the fig tree. And what is that lesson we need to learn? You heard it right. You are my inheritance, O Lord. That's all the riches that we have. Bring it home and give it to your children and grandchildren.